Welcome, listener, to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing a rugby obsession deep dive, getting into one of the, well, most electrifying rugby stories we've seen recently. The British and Irish Lions' really remarkable series win over Australia in 2025.
Yeah, quite something.
We've looked through all your sources, the articles, the analysis, the fan comments too, and we're going to unpack what made this win so historic. Look at those standout players, and importantly, what it all means for both teams going forward in World Rugby.
That's right. Our job today really is to pull out the key bits of knowledge and insight from all that Lions Tour coverage you sent over. Think of it as a shortcut to getting fully up to speed on one of the biggest talking points in the sport right now.
Yeah, proper deep dive.
Exactly. We'll look at the crucial moments, maybe some tactical bits, and definitely some of those passionate fan reactions too. We're aiming to cover all the relevant stuff from the material.
Perfect. And just before we properly get stuck into that amazing series, just a quick reminder, make sure you hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession wherever you get your deep dives. That way you won't miss out on our future rugby explorations.
Good call.
Okay, let's unpack this. An unforgettable victory, truly.
It really was. The British and Irish Lions showing incredible grit. They clinched the series against Australia with a whole game left to play. That alone, it says a lot about their performance.
Game to spare.
Yeah.
That's huge, isn't it? Especially against the Wallabies. And the match that sealed it, that nail-biter, 29-26 in the second test. And at the MCG, too, what a place for it to happen.
Yeah, the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Iconic. But what's really amazing here isn't just that they won, but how they did it. The sources are all clear on this.
Yeah.
It was the Lions' biggest comeback
Yeah,
ever.
just ever.
Yep, they turned around a 23-5 deficit, which is, well, it's staggering. Just to put that in perspective, the old record, their previous best comeback, was 10 points down against South Africa, way back in 1938.
Wow. 1938. That really drives it home, the history of it.
Yeah.
That shows, well, more than just skill, doesn't it? It shows real character.
Absolutely. Deep character.
The sources kept highlighting that Lions character, that quality under pressure. Like Hugo Keenan stepping up right at the end, wasn't it? Scoring that crucial try to seal the series.
Right at the death. Clutch.
And given how tough Lions tours are, how often they don't end in series wins, well, this one's going to be talked about for a long time.
No doubt. And connecting that to the bigger picture, this win, it doesn't just stand on its own. It actually sets up something potentially even bigger for this squad.
Ah, right. You mean the possibility of a series whitewash, a shot at, what, immortality down in Sydney?
Exactly that, a clean sweep. That would be completely unprecedented in the professional era. I mean, think about the truly legendary Lions team.
His 71 and 74 sides?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even those teams, often seen as, the absolute pinnacle of Lions rugby, they didn't manage a 100% record. And more recently, the 97 and 2013 tours, both successful, but no whitewash.
So the fact that this team even has the chance, well, it suggests something pretty special about them, doesn't it?
It really does. It points towards maybe a unique blend of togetherness and squad depth.
So this 2025 team, the sources said they came down under, wanting to be seen as one of the greatest Lions teams ever.
Yeah.
They actually have a real shot at backing that up. That's a massive statement.
It is. Now, some of the source material does acknowledge, that maybe the Wallabies weren't at their absolute peak on this tour, and that might, for some historians, slightly temper that greatest ever claim.
Right. Context matters.
But the material is pretty clear. This team will at least be in the conversation for historical greatness, which, brings up that interesting question. How do they really compare, not just on results, but maybe tactically, mentally, against those past legends?
Well, to answer that, I suppose we need to talk about the individuals who really made the difference, the game changers. Because it wasn't just team spirit, it was individual brilliance too.
Definitely.
Maro Itoje, he has to be near the top of that list, surely.
Oh, without question. Itoje's captaincy, his role in, dragging them back into the game. You just can't overstate it. When the Lions were really struggling, Australia pulling away, he was the one, wasn't he? The standard bearer.
Absolute.
His physical display was immense, obviously, but it was how he used it. That disruption at the breakdown, those vital line-out steals, especially in the second half, that really starved Australia of the ball when they needed it most. That's not just being big, that's smart dominance.
He has that calm authority about him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he also knows exactly when to inject that bit of force, like squaring up to Will Skelton, apparently.
Yeah, a key moment.
Or getting involved when Harry Wilson, the Aussie skipper, was trying to have a word with the ref late on. That's real leadership, isn't it? More than just wearing the armband. It's presence.
It is. And look, 9 straight tests for the Lions, the last 8 starting. He's cemented his place now, up there with the likes of Willie John McBride, Martin Johnson. His impact is huge, and doing it consistently at that level, that's what makes him special.
And speaking of consistency and impact, Tom Curry and Tadhg Beirne,
Yeah.
they shone again, didn't they, backing up massive first test performances.
They really did. The all-action flankers, as the sources called them.
Yeah, what a job that is. But what was interesting in the material was that their selection wasn't straightforward. Seen as contentious by some because their form coming into the tour wasn't perhaps top tier.
That's right. There were definitely question marks from some pundits, were they really the best options over others who maybe had more consistent club form? So, yeah, their performances were a pretty emphatic answer to those doubts.
And how?
Yeah.
Carefully described as a machine, I think.
Yeah. Farrell called them that, and the sources back it up. Incredible work rate, relentless physicality, always making tackles, getting over the gain line. And Beirne, he just seems to produce these big moments, doesn't he?
Yeah, crucial turnovers, smart defense.
Exactly. Big moment after big moment. And both of them scored tries, fine finishes, they were called. And they ran themselves into the ground for the cause.
So, thinking about that pre-tour doubt, what does this tour do for their reputations, their legacy?
Well, the sources are pretty direct, especially about Curry. He's now seen as a bona fide Lions great. Full stop. And it's almost a shame, isn't it, that we might not see them play together in that Lions back row again. Tours are rare, players move on, but stepping up like they did under that initial scrutiny, that shows serious mental strength.
Incredible stuff. But look, we can't just talk about the Lions. It takes 2 teams to make a series, and we need to give credit to the Wallabies too. Their resilience, the challenges they were up against, the sources were clear they were not dead yet.
That's a really important point, yeah. It adds balance. While the Lions won the series, Australia showed a lot of fight, especially bouncing back in that second test. But the material does keep coming back to their preparation for the first test. Calls it poor, a blunder even.
Only one warm-up game against Fiji.
Yeah. One source described it brilliantly. Said it was less a warm-up and more a light jog with a cup of tea. Which, probably wasn't ideal for facing a Lions side firing on all cylinders.
You do have to wonder, don't you, what difference would better Pret have made? And the return of Rob Bellatini and Will Skelton from injury, that was described as magnificent.
Yeah, Jude boost for them.
The sources said you could see how they lifted everyone around them. That physicality, that leadership they bring, clearly missed early on. It really does sound like the Wallabies were undercooked for that first test, maybe physically and tactically.
Absolutely. And it makes you think, doesn't it? The sources kind of hinted this question. How much did that lack of preparation actually shape the series result? And does it maybe slightly change how we view the scale of the Lions' achievement? It's complex.
It is a fair point. And you see that nuance reflected in some of the fan comments mentioned in the sources, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people suggesting the Wallabies are rebuilding. They're on their way back. Looking forward to seeing a really competitive top 5 ranked Australia soon.
Yeah, there's optimism there.
One fan comment, I think it was paraphrased, basically said, give them a year or 2, they'll be tough again. This Lions tour maybe just came a bit early for this group, which shows respect for their potential, even in defeat.
And that leads nicely into the broader chat around the tour, how it's been seen by fans, both in Australia and, back home and elsewhere.
The reactions captured in the sources seem pretty mixed, wouldn't you say? You've got loads of positive stuff, people calling it a great game of rugby, saying either team would have deserved it. That's great sportsmanship, acknowledging the quality.
Yes, definitely that side. But then you also get the more critical takes. Some fans, and you see this in the material, view the Lions tour as, well, one source called it a cash cow juggernaut.
Right, the commercial aspect.
Yeah, questioning if its main value now is financial rather than purely sporting. They ask about the strength of this Lions squad compared to past ones or, compared to the All Blacks or the Springboks. Some comments even speculated about, like, a 3-0 loss if they played those teams. And this really taps into that ongoing debate in rugby, doesn't it? About the balance between the Lions' unique history, maybe its amateur roots, and the huge commercial reality of modern pro sport. Does focusing on revenue dilute the sporting challenge, especially with shorter tours, maybe giving hosts less prep time?
And it's fascinating, too, just the sheer amount of debate online. mentioned in the sources
Yeah.
about specific ref calls, individual plays, fans from both sides really getting into it,
Yeah.
arguing about breakdown penalties, maybe a forward pass call.
Oh, yeah, always.
We're just reporting that these discussions are happening, obviously not taking sides. It just shows the passion.
Absolutely. And it poses that bigger question for the sport.
Does it?
How do you maintain the historical integrity and, I suppose, the perceived fairness of the Lions Tour when the commercial side is just so massive now? It's a debate that seems to follow every tour.
It really does. And we genuinely love hearing your thoughts on all this. What jumped out at you from this deep dive? Make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession, and please drop your comments below this deep dive. We really want to know your opinions on the series, the teams, everything we've discussed.
So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. What are the key takeaways from this deep dive? Well, the 2025 British and Irish Lions pulled off a genuinely historic win against Australia, driven by that incredible record-breaking comeback and some huge performances from players like Itoje, Curry, and Beirne, who really stepped up.
Yeah, and while the Wallabies showed real grit and definite promise, despite maybe being underprepared, the Lions now have this amazing chance for something unprecedented, that potential whitewash. It's just a brilliant story of overcoming challenges and aiming for history.
And clearly, this series has sparked loads of debate among fans everywhere about, the tour's place in the modern game, the relative strengths of the teams this time around, and maybe even the spirit of rugby itself in today's professional world.
So we'll leave you with this thought to mull over. Forget the scores and records for a second. What does this specific Lions tour, this particular contest, tell us about where international rugby is heading? And what does it say about the legacy of the Lions themselves? Enduring, iconic, but always debated in the 21st century.
Don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession, to join our community and keep exploring the rugby world with us.
Thank you so much for listening to this Rugby Obsession deep dive, and we really look forward to you listening to our next episode.